Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Cantina Express right here on the Fandom Cantina YouTube channel. I'm your host Sage, and we're going to discuss once again the brand new David Gordon Green Halloween movie from Blumhouse. That's right, the sequel to the original Halloween movie released in 1978 by the master of horror himself, John Carpenter. This is part 4 in our review series, and this isn't going to be a very long video. It's going to keep it real short and sweet, but I want to talk to you about the set design and the soundtrack. Two huge elements to any movie that comes out. You want a set design that fits with your film, and you want a soundtrack that, captures fans and, in this case, provides some edge to the movie and makes them feel a little bit nervous about what they're watching. Let's start with the set design. The set design is wonderful. You have to remember the movie was made for $10 million. That's not easy to do in today's film industry. It's almost unheard of. There's not very many, big motion picture movies that are made for $10 million, yet they find a way to do it. They filmed down in Charleston, North Carolina, and a little bit outside of it. And you look at the houses that you see on the streets during this film and the way they're decorated and the way they look. It has a real Halloween 4 feel to it, in my opinion. It definitely at times feels like Halloween 4 in terms of what you're surrounded by, and to me that's a good thing. I think Halloween 4 to this very day is still one of my favorites in the series. I really like what they did with the set design on this movie. You're gonna feel like you're in Haddonfield, which is important. That's not to knock, what Rob Zombie did or what H2O and Resurrection did. First of all, almost none of H2O's in Haddonfield, with the exception of the beginning. Almost all of Resurrection's in a house that doesn't really feel like the Myers house. And zombies movies are zombies movies. Film's subjective to the viewer, but for me, he misses the boat pretty much on almost every aspect of his movies. Well, guess what? David Gordon Green hits it with the set design. With what little they had to work with, they found a town that feels like Haddonfield 40 years later. A town that has grown just a little bit. A town that, is no longer stuck in 1978. And that's very, seeable in more ways than one that we'll get into in another video. This little tiny town from 1978 has grown a bit. And yet when you're, watching the kids trick or treat, or you're watching Michael in the trailers walk down the street, yeah, this doesn't feel like you're in Chicago or New York or somewhere in California. I get it. Chicago is supposed to be right by Illinois. Or, sorry, it's in Illinois, right by Haddonfield. A little too much of the good stuff today, pardon me. No, it's wonderful, the set design. I think when you watch this movie, they make you feel like you've returned to Haddonfield, and that's the most important thing. And there are some things that aren't shown in the trailers that definitely go back to that first movie and make you think, wow, this is Haddonfield. Holy crap, they got this detail right. And I can't wait for all you guys to see that. The set design, I give an 8.5 out of 10. It's that good. Let's move on to the soundtrack and score, which is done by the master of horror himself, the creator of the Halloween series, John Carpenter, and his son Cody. The score / soundtrack might be my favorite part of the movie. It is absolutely as good as it possibly could be. I kept getting asked, whether it was from my cousin or a couple other buddies that I know that are into Halloween, do you know what the theme's going to be for this movie? Do you know what the theme's going to be? Or I think I heard the theme here, or I think I heard the theme there. Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But I can tell you that there's more than one version of the theme in this movie. There's a few of them. And it's so good. Like, to me, what the soundtrack and score do is it makes you feel like you're on the edge of your seat at times, and you feel creepy, and it has an old school 80s feel to it with lots of synth in there, and yet they still find a way to include some modernization in there, which should please old and new film fans alike. John Carpenter knows this series like the back of his hand. He could have mailed this in, just been like, all right, we're gonna just slightly touch on the original Halloween movie theme and do a little bit of this and that and call it in. He didn't do that. He brings a brand new score to the table, and let me tell you, as cool as the alterations are to the normal Halloween theme, and as awesome as the end credits theme is, which I'm sure some of you have heard or seen the leak on YouTube, There's a lot of other original pieces in here that aren't in other Halloween movies that they knock out of the park, that have you on the edge of your seat, that have you spooked out. This soundtrack is the best horror movie soundtrack I have ever heard in my life. I would tell you if it was crap. You know, I might be a Halloween fan, but I sure as hell have no problem telling you, like in previous videos, that I'm not a big Jamie Lee Curtis fan, or, you know, I think Rob Zombie's movies are complete and utter trash and he had no idea what he was doing. I could tell you that Resurrection was a complete money grab and was never intended to be that way. You know, it is what it is. But what I am telling you is how I feel. Like I said, film's subjective to all fans, but how I feel is this is the best horror movie soundtrack ever. It's that good. I'm buying the vinyl, and I don't even own a record player anymore. It's going to be a nice collector's item. And I hope all of you guys have an appreciation for it like I do. It's, you know, John Carpenter cared about this project. It wasn't just about getting the check. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure he's smiling going to the bank as that check clears. But there's some great work done on this movie. And you know what? We have this tendency in today's day and age. Nothing can be better than the original. You know, the original is the best. And in some cases, that is the case. But in this case, this soundtrack is far better than the original in a hell of a lot more ways than one. So I give this soundtrack a 10 out of 10. I'd say pick it up. If you're a Halloween fan, you're going to want this item aside from the movie. I'm going to have it. Hopefully you have it too. That's going to do it for us on this video, though. Don't forget, we got a spoiler review coming. Feel free to leave your feedback in the comment section below. Click like on the video if you liked it. Click dislike and maybe tell us why you didn't like it. Click the subscribe button if you want to stay tuned for the rest of the content we got coming. You can check us out on Facebook, The Fandom Cantina. You can check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Fandom Cantina, or you can email us, fandomcantina@gmail.com. We're going to have an open mic episode soon where we'll answer as many of your questions as we can. And until next time, take it easy.